Hello, hello, hello. Listen, I'm super excited to be here on a Monday night from the We Shine Media Spotlight because I tell y'all what I do is bring you some amazing people doing phenomenal things. And tonight, of course, is no different. So shout out to Total Entertainment Radio. We love being on their platform, showing some amazing people, giving spotlights, so that you can get a dose of who's out here, who's making noise, who's bringing change and affecting millions of people across the world with their platform, with the thing that God has placed on their heart. And so, of course, I'm super excited because my special guest today, or tonight rather, is none other than Keisha Brown. I want to bring her on so we can go ahead and get this started, right? Welcome to the stage, Keisha. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having me on, Angela. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you to be here because Keisha, what I have known from the, small time that I've known you is that you
Mhm.
are out here making a difference in people's lives. When you say think higher studios, that is something that I think sometimes we don't even really kind of dwell on thinking
Right.
higher. People really kind of just, go out here just doing things,
hmm
but your actions are a result of your thoughts. And if
Right.
you're not thinking higher, then of course you're out here just operating on a base level, maybe
hmm
even to push the button and say maybe just mediocrity. If you're just
Exactly.
out here doing things, but to think higher is what elevates you to do different things, to stand
hmm
out, to shine. Because I always believe, if I shine, you shine, we shine
Uh-huh.
together. And so I
Exactly.
love that you have came and put this together. So share with us and with the audience a little bit more about who you are and how the concept of Think Higher Studio came about.
Okay, so thank you for having me again. Well, originally, it started out because I had a production company called the Story to Tell Productions, where I did several stage plays I've written and produced along with me and my partner, and we would basically do everything from the casting to the writing to the directing to even being stagehands and traveling from New Jersey to New York. And it was definitely an experience that I didn't think that I would be able to accomplish at first, because I
Mhm.
heard no, you're not qualified, no, you are amateur, or you're just beginning, so we're not going to fund your project. So with that being said, I decided, okay, if I don't believe in me, nobody else is going to believe in me. So I had to first invest in myself and learn stage writing, script writing. And so I did. And then from that, several things took place with my production company where several of my cast members passed away. And
Mm.
I kind of went into a depression and I stopped writing. And then from that, I said, okay, years went by, went by, but I had these scripts. I had, you know, all these stories in me that I needed to get out. And so I picked up the pen again. And this time I didn't want to go with the same name because I had evolved to another person and my thinking has changed. So I said, what am I going to call it? I didn't want something, I wanted something that goes bam in your face.
Right. Right.
So I wanted something that identified with who I was in this season of my life. And I kept hearing God tell me, you need to change your thinking. You need to think higher. Um, if you want to go higher, you need to think higher, not where you are right now, because where you are right now is temporary. So I need your thinking to go in those places, to the Oscars. I need you to go to the
Mm.
red carpet. I need you to see yourself on stage. I need you to see yourself the place that you're trying to get to, not where you are now. So for me, I stayed in that state, stuck in that mentality of where I was now, you know, low key, low budget. And yes, that was my reality because that's where I was functioning out of. But once I changed my level of thinking, it was like a switch came on, and I said, okay, I may be here, but I'm trying to get there. And it's okay to be here. because this is the growing stage. This is the sowing stage. This is the preparation stage. But this is the stage where you learn who you are. And so for me, Think Higher came, Think Higher Studios, because my level of thinking changed, the way that I spoke uh, to myself. The words that we speak gives life and power, as you
Yeah.
know. And
Yes.
I began to see myself as God sees me, you
Mhm.
know, in abundance, because he said he will bless us abundantly. And you can't be scared to get blessed. You
Love
can't
that.
you can't be so fearful, because sometimes, a lot of times, we stop our own blessings
Mhm.
because we don't step out on faith, on Faith Street. As I say, we stay in Worry Street and Doubt Street,
Yes. Yes.
and we don't uh, take the initiative to even try. I know so many talented and gifted writers and people, more gifted, I feel like more gifted than I am, that can probably write circles around me, but they will stay stuck in the I don't know how, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, nobody's going to support me, nobody's going to buy it, all of these things. And then we stay in that cycle of just never going forward, never pushing forward, never knocking down the door. And I always tell people, listen, you may not know how to do X, Y, and Z. You may not be the writer like Tyler Perry is, but you have to start somewhere. You get the pen and you write. That's where you begin. That's where it starts. And from there, you get better. From there, you grow. From there, you're going to make mistakes. There's no point about it. Like, you will make mistakes. Anytime God gives you something, you're going to fail at it as you get to your destiny. You're going to fail at it. You're going to get mad. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to want to quit. You're going to want to give up. All of those emotions are real. But if you keep going, if you pick it back up again, even if you said, I'm not writing anymore, even if you said, I'm not doing this anymore, even if you said, listen, it didn't work before. Nobody showed up to my show. Nobody bought my book. And so you got discouraged. You stayed in that paralyzed mentality, and
Mhm.
that will feed the rest of your destination. That will feed where you go from there. So then you have to say, you know what? Such and such may not have supported me. My family may not have supported me. They might not have even attended any of my events, but that's okay, because God will send strangers to you. God will send people that you haven't even met before, but they're watching. They're watching what you do. They're watching what you say. They're watching what you're doing in those times of struggle, in those times of drought. They're watching. What are you going to do with in those dark times, those times when your book is not selling, those times when nobody is supporting you? Are you going to stay stuck in who's doing what, X, Y, and Z? Or are you going to keep going and let God get the glory out your situation and take you to a place of no return? Because that's his promise. He said, I will give you life and give you that in abundance. And I don't know about you, but I want all my abundant living here.
All of it, every single drop of it. I don't want to leave anything on the table, on the shelf, in the closet, under the
Mhm.
bed. I don't want to leave anything anywhere. I want
Yeah.
everything that he has for me.
Mhm.
And Keisha, that was such a powerful beginning to what we're talking about, because
Right.
you dropped so many nuggets and so much wisdom within, just a brief introduction. And from what I get out of all of that, the Bible says, despise not small beginnings.
Yeah.
We want to get out here and we want to, we want our name on the marquee and we want to be on the billboard and, we want the crowd to be up wrapped around the corner. But for the people who have those things, it
Yes.
didn't happen overnight.
Nope.
They didn't come out and say, oh, I want to be this.
Yeah.
And bam, it just happened where they
Right.
became an overnight success. That doesn't happen.
Nope.
Behind overnight success is years of preparation,
Mm-hmm.
years of disappointment, years of discouragement, time where maybe you were depressed, time where you shed some tears, time where you probably cut some people out because you were
Mm-hmm.
just so frustrated that either they weren't supporting you or you just couldn't get, through the
Exactly.
door, or, they told you you were great, they liked what you did, but you just weren't it. They had to move on to
Exactly.
somebody else. The
Mm-hmm.
rejection is a heavy load to bear. And for
Mm-hmm.
most people, it is something that they just can't get past. And rather than continue to pursue greatness, what they'll do is just settle for the basic ordinary. Well, until then, I'll just do this.
Right.
But they let the this overtake the
Mm-hmm.
dream to
Yes.
where they stay at that level and never go past it. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to Uber and DoorDash. It's okay to
Yeah.
take basic jobs so that you can pay for your rent and eat and all the other things you
Yes.
need to do to take care of yourself. The
Mm-hmm.
thing about it is you can't stop there and let your dream die
Yeah.
as you're trying to, figure out that, okay, yeah, it wasn't what I expected, but that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you can't get there. But you got to continue to push and you
Yeah.
got to think higher. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that the concept came to you about thinking higher,
Right.
thinking that even though it may be other people out there who can write better or produce better or
Right.
act better or whatever it is that you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
do, maybe they can, but they're not you. So you bring your
Yeah.
own unique experiences and things to the game. So I love that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were able to start out with other people, and with them passing away, and understanding that grief can be a big hurdle to overcome.
Yes.
It can
Yes.
be a huge hurdle to overcome. So before we move there, because
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned grief, you
Yeah.
have a project that's out right now that deals with grief. So let's talk about that.
Yes. It is a collaborative project with me and 8 other women. And I'm so excited to be part of this project. Shout out to Keisha for doing an awesome job, and you
Yeah,
as well, Angela.
thank you.
Um, Love Language of Grief. It is on Amazon right now, so I need you to go get it. And I'm not just saying go get it because I'm part of the project. I'm saying go get it because it is powerful. I only read like 2 chapters and I was in tears. So I can only imagine what the rest of the book is going to be like.
Right.
So I'm telling you to go get it because we all have grieved at one point in our lives.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes grief can leave you paralyzed.
Yes.
It can leave you depressed. It can leave you suicidal at times. And so all of these beautiful ladies have come together and put together this book that is phenomenal, and I know it's going to reach so many people. It has already impacted lives.
Yeah.
The testimonies for this book has been on point, and I'm so excited because I was talking to Lakeisha about it, and I was just like, wow, like I feel like I was like the little kid in the I was the baby of the group. That's how I felt reading these powerful stories
Mm.
because they poured out so much of their heart, their emotions. It was like you can read the writing and really live with them, like what they were experiencing at that time. They took us on a journey, and I love that about the whole entire project. And I can't wait for volume 2 to come. Volume 2,
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
already
volume
saying
two.
time up. I'm
Come
already
on, it's speaking into existence. Volume two. Yes.
volume 2. I told her volume 2 has to come because it's so much of that. And so many other people have stories. And not to mention how therapeutic it could be for someone who is actually going through that grief process
Yeah.
because they don't have any outlet. Some people don't have an outlet to really spill over their grief or to really share without feeling judged,
Right.
or without feeling like, okay, they can't grieve, because we're taught to be so strong, and we're taught
Yeah.
not to cry. Men are taught not to shed tears, and all of that is fake.
Mm-hmm.
We are human. We are meant to cry. We are meant to go through pain in life, and that's how it was designed. But baby, go get that book. It's
Go
on
get that
Amazon.
book. Go get that book. I started with grief because when you said that, you were out there living your dream, with a production company and
Mhm.
writing scripts and all of those things. And then when people died, that
Yes.
grief, you went into depression. There's a lot of
Yes.
people who dreams die behind grieving.
Yes.
And, a lot of times, we definitely don't want to put a timetable on grief because
Right.
nobody can tell you how long to grieve. But
Right.
what we can say is you don't have to stay in that grieving
Right.
space. And
You
I kind
don't.
of want you to speak about that, Keisha, when it comes to how did you get out of the grieving space to start again?
It was challenging. The first thing I did was first get real with myself and say, because I think sometimes we lie to ourselves or we trick ourselves into believing that where we are okay with our present situation,
Mm-hmm,
present living circumstances, present income coming in. And
mm-hmm,
I had to really get real with myself and said, hold up, wait a minute. I'm not okay. I'm not okay with living from paycheck to paycheck.
mm,
I'm not okay with mediocrity. I'm not okay with this lower standard of thinking, of living. And yes, I am blessed. We are blessed. We are very blessed to have what we have. But I said, there is more for me.
yes.
There is more. God has created me for more. And the moment that I was able to receive that and pick up myself, even in my grief, I said, my dance instructor, he would not want me to just lay here and go, whoa, it's me. He would not want me to keep crying and throw away the dream because he was the one calling me up when I didn't feel like going to New York. He was the one saying, look, girl, get up. I need you to get up. Get on the train. Where you at? We got rehearsal. Oh, I don't want to. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I had all of these excuses, but it was him that was pushing the dream forward. And I was just in awe because I wasn't paying him to do any of that.
Wow.
I
Wow.
was not paying him to do any of that. I did not pay any of my cast members to do any project for me. They
Mm,
all came to the table with their gift and they were gifted. Let me tell you, these was not some amateur people that I just picked up off the street. No, these were talented, gifted actors and actresses and dancers. And even my makeup artist was gifted. He was a celebrity makeup artist. And honey, he didn't charge me a dime. He said, Keisha, whatever you need, I got you. And he also passed away right
mm,
after my dance instructor did. And you know, it was a hard time for me. It was very bittersweet for me to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna get back up again. I'm gonna get back up because they can't get up.
mm.
And I'm gonna dance because he can't dance. I'm gonna live this thing out because they weren't able to see it. And every time I write or every time I create something, I think about them, and I, instead of um, feeling burdened by or heavy laden by the grief, I decided to take my pain and turn it into power and then turn it into something purposeful, which is my writing. And I decided to allow my grief to stop me from living out my dream and my goals. And I allowed that pain to push me through the grief. So now I take the pain and I write about it. Or I take, something that he may have said to me, that, would make me laugh. And I would just start busting out laughing for no reason, because the memories of the whole thing. And every show we sold out.
Wow.
Every show we sold
Jesus.
out. And I know that was a God thing because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't good at marketing. I barely I barely did any of that. It was the cast that sold the tickets.
Wow.
It was my cast that was pushing the tickets. It was my cast saying, I got 20 people coming. I got 30 people coming. How many you got coming? You know, I think I might have sold maybe 20 myself, if
Mhm.
that. But it was them pushing the vision. And
Mm.
that's how I knew I could not give up. I had to pick up the pen again because I owed it to myself. I owed it to those gifted people that believed in me, that spent their time, their energy into my rehearsals, that traveled from New York to New Jersey for shows, or from New Jersey to New York to Brooklyn. I owe it to them to keep going because they believed in me when nobody else believed in me.
Come on, Keisha. I love the power behind that because when you think about it, even for you in
Hmm.
a realistic scenario where your makeup artists, your dance instructors,
Right,
the people who are in the, you know, the cast
right.
of the stage plays and things, realistically, you see them every day. You see their
Yes,
heart and what they're pouring in, their time, their energy,
yes.
their efforts. You see that.
Hmm.
And like you said, I can't not sit down
Hmm.
when I know that they're not here to keep going. So I
Right.
owe that to them. For everybody else who may not have a situation like Keisha had,
Hmm.
we owe our ancestors, our grandparents, our great
Yes.
grandparents, we owe the people who came and paved the way for us to have what we have
Hmm.
now. And when we
Absolutely.
think about where we are in society, when you think about the different things that happen to us,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
whether you look at, and it doesn't, and I'm not speaking about just the Black story,
Right.
I'm talking about everybody because everybody has some level of something they've been through
Hmm.
historically. The thing
Hmm.
about it is, for you to be here, somebody else had to have lived for you to get where you are. And so, in thinking higher, if you know that there's more, then you need to start thinking that I can't keep sitting on my behind every single day and not do more. I got to think higher.
Hmm.
And when you realize that I got here because somebody else had to get me here, I didn't
Yeah.
just be like I dream of Genie blink and I was
Right.
here. I had to come
Right.
through some people to get
Hmm.
here, right? And so as a result of that, the fact that I can breathe the air, the fact that God, there's such an abundance out here. All you have to do is step into it, but you got to think higher. You got to think that you deserve it and believe that it's for you. You know,
Yes.
I was sitting here thinking when you were talking about, you know, there's more. So
Hmm.
I said, you know, let me go and tell Keisha get her t-shirt line. There's more. Think higher. People need to have that message. There's
Yes.
more. Think higher. When you think higher, you can get the abundance. You can
Yep.
get that next level. You know, I always say, go out here, elevate and dominate. It
Yes.
happens when you think higher. But
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, it's going to be times where you're
Yes.
going to get discouraged. It's going to be
Yes.
times where you're going to see somebody else living your dream. But that doesn't
Mm.
mean that
Come on.
you can't go out there and live it for yourself. See, God
Yes.
didn't just say that, baby, it's a one person only
Right.
opportunity for things. When you
Mhm.
look out in the world, you know, I'm looking out the window now, there's not just one type of tree out there. There's not
Uh-huh.
just one type of bird flying out there. There's not just one type of house out there. People
Mhm.
have creativity, people have skills,
Yeah.
they have talents, they have gifts. And because of that, it's instinctively separates you
Yes.
from the next person. So
Yep.
the person who went out here and did McDonald's is not the person who did Burger King, nor is it the person who did Wendy's, nor is it the person who did Five Guys, nor
Yep.
any other type of gourmet burger or specialty burger shop. It could be
Mhm.
mom and pop. She could be out there, honey, putting that, balling up that ground beef, honey, and throwing it on the thing and cooking
Yes.
something amazing that's better
Uh-huh.
than any one of the people I just spoke of. You have to know what you bring to the table in
Mm.
order for you to go there and get to the next level. But it requires a thought process of
Yes.
thinking higher and then putting your action behind it. So, Keisha,
Absolutely.
when you started talking about in the beginning, it started with story time. I
Mhm.
truly believe that we all have a story to tell. Life
Mm.
itself gives us a story. And
Yes.
so when you realize that putting pen to paper allowed
Mhm.
you to expand on the different stories that were in your brain,
Mhm.
how different is it to write stories stage play wise
Mhm.
compared to writing books? Is there a difference?
Yeah, it is actually for me. I believe the difference for me, the stage plays is fun because the stage plays give me a different energy
Mm,
where I literally sit back and look at my family, and I love my family. And I look at some of the situations, whether it's my family, coworkers, or people that are close to me go through. And I take their situation or whatever they're going through at that time, and I'm always looking at ways to tell the story but change the narrative.
Okay.
So, for instance, if I'm trying to think of a thought, I'll come back to that. But stage plays are different for me because I get to create characters.
Mm.
I get to create people in my mind. I'm a visual person, so it starts here. It always starts here. So I could create a whole script in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I create the characters first, and then I create the storyline, and then I write it down, and then I bring it all together with the different emotions and what they're going through, and certain situations such as molestation. Whether if I know someone in my family has been molested, I write about it in a way where they can tell their story, shine light on their story, but also shine the light on the family dynamics,
Mm.
shine the light on what they were going through as a kid up until their adulthood. The people around them, how was it, keeping secrets?
Mm.
So I get to take real life situations, real life stories, real life pain, and turn it into something beautiful where the character could tell their story from a place of power, not a place of being a victim.
Mm.
And the audience can relate because they too have secrets. They too had been molested or raped or, on drugs or whatever the case may
Right.
be. And so now they see this story and they're like, wow, okay, how did this character maneuver all of these obstacles? How did they get through? And then it's like they can see themselves. It's like a reflection. And
Yeah.
so I love stage production because I get to create these funny characters, not so funny characters, the bad sheep of the family, and so many other things, and then just really combine those people into a love story. I believe my first production was called Stolen Dreams,
Mm.
and I took the storyline basically from my family, which I called us like the Black Brady Bunch because um, my grandmother was the one holding everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
And so growing up, I didn't realize we didn't have money and stuff like that. I felt like we were rich, you know. Um, but having that family dynamic, that family support system that I grew up in, on the other side of that was not so loving. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Yeah.
So when you're growing up in two different environments,
Yeah.
literally one across the town, one is safe, one is not,
Mm. Wow.
and then you have these people because as a kid I had to be very creative in
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts, so I would create characters to protect me.
Wow. Okay.
So I think it started there.
Wow.
um so the script writing came from a place of trauma,
Mm.
came a place of low self-esteem,
Mm. Okay.
suicide. you know I went through all of those things, homelessness,
Mm-hmm.
married, domestic violence, all of that. I went through all of that. And to say I'm not a victim of that, of those circumstances, yes, I went through that, but that does not define who I am. And so once I was able to get that, the stage plays became easy.
Wow. I love the richness of what you just took us through because it allows people to see how higher thinking evolves
Mm-hmm.
into something tangible.
Mm-hmm.
You took where you were in life and what you saw in life and what you dealt with in life and created characters that people could identify with, that
Yeah.
resonated with their spirit, and when you look at people who create masterpieces, it
Mm-hmm.
all comes from what's inside your mind's eye, what you
Yes.
see, and a lot of times um, people don't understand that what you go through puts itself into every aspect of your life. It doesn't
Right.
matter from a child. Some of the things
Mm-hmm.
that you love doing now is because of things that were familiar to you as a child.
Yep.
Some of the things that you see in your significant other is because of how you saw interactions between people that you loved. And
Right.
so those things tend to portray themselves out, especially with creatives. It comes out in a way that can allow somebody to see the beauty in a painting, or to
Mm-hmm.
laugh at a sitcom, or to
Right.
cry because you're looking at a movie that
Mm-hmm.
is something that pulls on your heartstrings. There's a time when I was going through grief,
Mm-hmm.
and y'all gonna catch the book so y'all can see what all I was grieving. But in going through that, love language of grief, go on and get it on Amazon. But there were things that, because I built up a wall
Mm.
emotionally, that I couldn't cry as much over things that happened in my life, but I
Right.
can look at a movie and girl cry like, child, I grew up with them people, honey, from first grade
Right.
to kindergarten. I'm just like boo-hooing like, baby, we had just hung out and had pizza, you know.
Exactly.
Or I just called and checked on them the day before. I'm crying
Uh-huh.
like, oh my God, like these
Mm-hmm.
this my folks. The ability to be able to give people and create characters with that type of depth is what
Mm-hmm.
makes people successful in stage writing or in your favorite shows or movies and things like that. And my daughter and I, we were laughing because because I am, in media and do publishing and all that, looked at Shonda Rhimes and I'm like, Shonda is so successful. And I pinpointed it to the fact that she creates characters who have depth that you can connect to. When you
Mm-hmm.
connect to a character, you want to know what's up. You fighting for him. You just like, come on now,
Right.
come on now. She
Uh-huh.
didn't. I thought she was gonna be
Uh-huh.
pregnant. I was getting ready to be excited because I thought they need a baby. Then they didn't.
Right.
But when the news is negative and they cry, I want to cry too. I'm like, that's my girl. Or when she go out here and do something and they
Exactly.
get married, you just like, yes, because they belong together. You
Yep.
get invested into those things because you've
Mm-hmm.
created somebody that resonates with who you are. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so for you, with that level of tapping into what you've been
Yes.
through in life. And so, with that being said, you kind of mentioned a few different things that, whether it was molestation or rape. And one of the things that you have tapped into in your writing was domestic violence. And
Yes.
domestic violence is a big thing, that you champion. And one
Mm-hmm.
of the books that you wrote was Girl, Get Your Power Back. And you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that earlier about how sometimes life circumstances, things that happen to you, can
Mm-hmm.
cause you to lose your power. And sometimes when people go through those things, they feel like nobody is going to believe me. Nobody
Right.
is going to understand. People are going to, they're going to look at me as the person who caused this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And those things can sometimes be the furthest from the truth, but it
Yeah.
also can be a reality for a lot of people. How can you, when you talk about girl, get your power back,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to somebody who is experiencing, whether it's domestic violence, it could be
Mm-hmm.
rape, molestation, it could be
Right.
any instance where you feel like you've given away your power or you don't have it? How can you
Right.
get it back?
Well, first, I would say to anybody that has been through a situation like that, um, it starts with God. It starts with whether you believe in God or whatever your higher power is, because we all have different belief systems. I tell people all the time, you don't have to believe in my God, but believe in something.
Yes.
Because That's where your strength comes from. When you step outside yourself and you could draw from a higher power, um, that's when healing takes place. You have to get out of denial. I think sometimes when we go through certain situations, we become stuck. We become stuck in that place of, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just going to push through this. I'm strong. I'm a strong Black woman. I'm a strong woman, period. Or, this not going to break me. All of those things that we tell ourselves, but yet deep down inside, we are broken.
Yeah.
So I think it starts from being honest, coming from a place of honesty with yourself, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Um, and then acknowledging you are broken and it's okay to be in that place. Because sometimes I think social media has done us good and bad, because we paint the picture that life is a certain way.
Yes.
But behind closed doors, real life is happening. And real life is saying, this happened to me as a kid. Mama don't know about it. I couldn't tell daddy about it because he probably would have killed everybody, you know. So you hold on to these secrets and it makes you sick. And then you get into relationships that make you sick. And then you think that's what love is. And your idea of what real love is tainted by the stuff you've seen or the stuff you saw growing up, because that's what was shown to you. So you adapt a behavior or a dysfunction that you was never meant to become. You was never meant to be in that relationship or with that person, or allowing that person to abuse you or to take advantage of you or whatever the case may be. But because you were shown a picture, that's what you adapted to. And you automatically said, this is how it goes. This is how it's supposed to be. And so, girl, get your power back. Do you want to be healed? Came from a place of my own childhood trauma of seeing my father, who was very abusive in my household. He never hit me. He never did anything to me, but to my mom. So for that, it has such an impact on my mental health, not so much physical, but my mental health. Later, it showed up in my physical because I began to get sick. As I got older, I began to have all these issues and inflammation in my stomach and boils showing up on my body. All of these things started happening, and I couldn't understand why. But once I started going back and retracing the steps from my childhood, and I realized that I was still broken. I was just a grown woman, a grown woman broken because I was still living in the past of my childhood, because I would still have flashbacks. I was still not able to see or to hear certain music. I write about this in my book. As a kid, I had my mom order me Mahalia Jackson CDs, or I believe at the time it was tapes. We never went to church. I didn't know about God and all of these things, but I heard her voice, and I believe it was on BET or Soul Train Music. I don't know. It was on one of those stations. And I heard her voice, and I said, I want that for my birthday. Wow. And my mother turned to me and said, huh? You want right. You want Mahalia Jackson tapes? I said, yeah. I want the whole collection. I didn't know at the time. I'm about 8 or 10, 19 years old. I had no idea this woman was a gospel artist. I didn't know what gospel music was. But honey, let me tell you, I played her music every night. I think I had it on repeat. I played it every night. And every night her voice was ministering to me as a
Mm,
kid.
mm,
And it would echo the fights. It would block out the noise. It would block out the screaming, the tears, the
mm.
crying, the pain. It would block it out because I would have it all loud and just block it all out. Her voice saved my life at that time because
Wow.
it didn't cause me. I was depressed as a child,
Mhm.
but you would never know I was depressed as a child.
Mm.
And I believe that was God's way of protecting my mind.
Right. That's so amazing. That as a child, instinctively, you knew
Hmm.
what you needed.
Right.
You heard a sound that was soothing and that
Hmm.
probably made you feel comforted or felt like you had some power by
Right.
listening to that, and that instinctively you knew to put it on repeat and to have it on loud so that
Yes.
it could be a blocker for the things
Hmm.
that didn't mean you any good, that couldn't
Yes.
have benefited you as you grew older.
Exactly.
I have
Hmm.
a really good friend that, you started off talking about, we are so quick when somebody says, how are you? You automatically come back, oh, I'm fine.
Right.
Even when you're going through, even when you could have barely got up that day, but
Right.
your instinct is to automatically say, oh, I'm okay. Oh, I'm
Yes.
good. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
fine. Well, my friend always says, how's your heart?
Mm.
That the first time I heard it stops you in your tracks because you
Right.
can't just say I'm fine when somebody
Right.
says, how's your heart? It requires you to give a little bit more, to dig a
Yes.
little deeper, and to be a little bit, like you said in the beginning of the broadcast, you gotta be honest with yourself. You can't
Yeah.
keep lying to yourself. You've got to be able to look at your heart and
Hmm.
understand that where I am right now,
Hmm.
I'm dying inside. I'm
Yeah.
struggling. I'm not okay. And
Hmm.
society has made us believe that you have to be okay at every minute of every day.
Yep.
But in reality, for most people, you're not. You're
You're not.
not okay. And what happens is the body will betray you. You know how you
Hmm.
say, you know how you get with your friends and you be like, okay, well, look, don't tell nobody. And then they go and tell somebody,
Right.
why you tell my business? You said, okay, right? But your
Yep.
body will do the same thing. It
Yep.
will start showing its behind on you, and you
Hmm.
telling people you're fine. But then the pain surfaces, like you
Yeah.
said, the inflammation or the boils or whatever
Hmm.
it is, the headaches, the different
Hmm.
things that will cause you to have to reveal that there is something going on with me,
Right.
and I can say I'm fine all day long, but if you have migraines to where you can't even get up out the bed, that's a problem. When you
Hmm.
have, like I said, I was dealing with, some health issues myself. It's a
Hmm.
problem. And you can say, oh, I'm good, but when people see you in physical pain, they know
Right.
you're not good.
Right.
But if it's not visible on the outside, we hide it on the inside. And
Hmm.
we go through life and think that we can say, I'm fine. You can find yourself to death like Mary J. Blige, fine, 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 fine. In reality, if you're not fine, you're not helping yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice, you
Yes.
know. And a lot of those things come from childhood
Hmm.
because you were powerless to do
Hmm.
something. You, as a child, you can't intervene in adult situations.
Right.
Children are supposed to stay in children's places.
Hmm.
For a lot of, especially in our culture, the
Hmm.
thing was what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Right.
When you grow up like that, you
Hmm.
have a tendency to bury the very thing that really needs to be exposed in order for
Yes.
you to be healed.
Yes.
And do you want to be healed? The
Hmm.
second part of that, girl, get your power back. Do you want to be healed? Yes, we all want to be healthy. We all want to
Hmm.
walk around and feel joy and happiness and powerful
Hmm.
and be able to go out here and live in abundance. But one of the things that, even in another book that you wrote, when
Hmm.
it talks about getting your power back, you
Hmm.
made a decision where a lot of people wait for diagnosis to happen before they
Hmm.
deal with it. They can hear things, see things, and be like, it's okay. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
all right. And they just
Hmm.
push it to the point to where sometimes for some people, you don't have a choice to get healed.
No.
not on this side, not to keep
Right.
living.
Right.
You made a choice to become a previvor
Right.
versus a survivor. Talk
Right.
about
Well, oh, that.
that. Getting in the thick of things now, baby. Y'all thought it was good up until now, baby. We getting into the thick of things.
Yo, Angela, I love you. Oh God. Okay. The previvor came in where, remember when I was saying how my body was showing all these inflammations and it's called Crohn's disease. Um, and I had to change my whole lifestyle of eating and blah, blah, blah. So now, even after that ordeal, here comes uh, the genetic testing. So I have a strong family history of breast cancer. My grandmother passed away from it, and my mom is a survivor. And and I always had these cysts that would come, and I would have to go see the surgeon, and he would biopsy and do all of these things. It would be benign, thank God. Um, so it got to the point where they started coming often, and I believe the last time I went to see my surgeon, I said to him, they're coming a little bit more often than normal. Is there anything that I can do? And he said, well, have you thought about going for genetic testing? And I said, well, no, not really. He's like, I said, I know my family history. He said, well, it's a little bit deeper than that. And so I decided to go for the genetic testing. And then I have the ATM gene. I was told I have the ATM gene, which is similar to the BRCA gene, but it's a gene that can be very invasive on your body if I was to get a cancer diagnosis.
Okay.
So, taking that information, I said, what are my options? I am a proactive person. I don't like to sit back and just say, okay, I'm just going to see what happens.
Right.
That's just not who I am. Um, I've, that think higher thing, honey,
Right, right.
it has really transformed my life. And I decided, okay, what are my choices? They told me you can either do nothing, you can monitor yourself 6 months, every 6 months, MRIs, the breast exams, yada, yada, yada. I said, no, I don't think that's going to work for me. I could barely make my appointments now. So I said, what else? They said, or you could just have the surgery and remove your breast, have your bilateral double mastectomy. And I'm like, remove my breast? Like,
Right. Right.
yeah, it was like, what are you talking about? And so I said, okay. So the shock of it was, all right, I got some decisions to make. And the first thing was I have to talk to God about this. That was the first thing. All right, God, what we doing? What we doing with this?
That
Because
part.
yeah, you done thrown some stuff at me, and I done lived through a lot. But okay, now this, So, but looking at the beauty of it all, right? I always try to take pain and look at something positive about it. Um, and the positive thing was, okay, you can do something.
Mm-hmm.
That was the positive for me. I don't have to just sit back and do nothing, but I can do something. I can do my part. God can do his part, and then, honey, let everything else just fall into place, right?
Right.
So I decided to have the surgery. I spoke to my family about it, my immediate family, moms, kids, partner, and just say, hey, this is what I'm up against. What are your thoughts? Ultimately, I wanted to hear their feedback. I wanted to hear what they thought about it. And I let them vent. I let them say whatever, mom, you crazy. Why you want to do that? Aren't you overreacting? I let them get it out. Even if I didn't agree, I let them get it out because their opinion mattered to me
Yeah.
and their support mattered even more. And so I took what they said and I decided, okay, they all was on board. They may not have agreed with my decision, but they supported me in my decision.
Mm.
And that was what I needed. I needed to know, if I do this, do you got my back? Do you have my back? Because I'm not going to be able to cook, clean, do all these things I'm doing. So I'm going to
Right.
need some help. I'm going to need y'all to step in. I'm going to need not just household and running the household type things, but emotional support. Um,
Yes.
I'm going to need you to love me for me now, because I had to learn how to love me all over again,
Mm.
because now I had to, I lost a part of myself that I carried with me all my life. So now when you talk about grief, and I talk about this in the book, Love Language of Grief, go get it. It's on Amazon. I talk about this in the book, how we usually think of grief as losing someone,
Yeah.
but grief can be losing a body part. It could
Mm-hmm.
be losing a limb, losing a leg. You grieve that part of yourself because now you're different. It didn't hit me until the bandages came off.
Wow.
I was good. The surgery, bam, got it. Recovery was a little rocky, had some infections, but got through it. Bam, done. But honey, when the bandages came off,
Mm.
that's when the grief hit me. And all I could do was drop to the floor in the bathroom, because
Mm.
it was, I've seen pictures, I watched YouTube videos, I did all of that, but it was nothing when it came to me seeing myself in the mirror without no breasts. And it was like, what did I do? My first reaction was, oh my God, what did I do to myself? But then I had to go back to my why.
Mm-hmm.
It said, no, no regret. You did it so that you can live. And I'm going to tell you another reason why I did it. A couple weeks before my surgery, I had a coworker who came to work one day and said, we would just chit chat here and there. And she said, I'm going through some stuff. I just got diagnosed with breast cancer. And me and her started talking, and I started telling her about my cyst and the genetic testing and stuff like that. She said, promise me you're going to go get tested. Promise me. She was the one that encouraged me to go get tested. And she
Wow.
said, then when I told her about the test and my results, she said, promise me you're going to go forward with the surgery. And I was like, okay, why is she tripping?
Right.
I'm like, she tripped, like she's making a big deal. But then I started finding out more about her story, and that how she became terminal. She was the same age as, actually, she was a little younger than me. And she came to work one day and she said, promise me, Keisha. And I said, okay, I promise. A couple weeks went by. I came to work. She was already in hospice.
Mm. Mm.
She was accepting no visitors, so I couldn't go see her. And I cried at my desk for like
Mm.
a week because I knew she was there, but I couldn't make contact. And so I would like give messages to her nurse or, other people I know that could get in the room. Just tell her I love her, just tell her I'm praying, stuff like that.
Right.
So my reason for doing what I did it because she couldn't.
Mm.
And my confirmation was the day I got home, and I never forget it, that I was recovering from my surgery, and they handed me this mail, and it was a card. And in this card was a picture of her daughters, her two babies. And it said, Merry Christmas. Thank you for being a friend to my mom.
Wow.
And I wept.
Ooh,
Like,
I can
I wept.
imagine.
First
Wow.
of all, how did you get my address?
Right.
Because it
Ooh.
wasn't like we was cool, but we wasn't that close. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where she came to my house, I went to her house.
Mm-hmm.
So she had, So whoever got my address, she must have spoke about me. I don't know, but I wept. And that's when I knew I made the right decision. It was like her spirit was saying to me, you did it. You did it. You went through with it. And I'm glad you went through with it. And I said, I'm living because she can't.
Mm. How powerful is that? And what I thought about as you were telling the story,
Mm-hmm.
when you go through things, and everything's good, and people are like, okay, cool, she seemed to be, she seemed to be dealing with and handling things or
Right.
whatever. Till you saw the bandages, and then you just fell to your knees. What people don't understand is knowing about something is one
Mm-hmm.
thing, actually
Yeah.
seeing it is a totally different thing. Something in your mind doesn't match up until you actually see what it is that you're going through.
Yeah.
That's when it hits you. It's like the vision thing,
Yeah.
you got to see it in order for it to become a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And your mind can play tricks on you. It can have you
Yeah.
thinking all kind of like, yeah, we good, we straight, we whatever, until
Yeah.
reality hits you. And it
Yeah.
comes through what you see. And when you see it, now you're like, oh, whew.
Mm-hmm.
Again, to see the card from the girls,
Yes.
you know, that's when it sinks in that I made the right choice. And to
Yes.
be a previvor is something
Mm-hmm.
different. I don't think I've ever really heard of anybody say I'm a previvor. And to know you and to understand that story, because my mom
Mm-hmm.
and sister both had breast cancer, they both have
Oh
passed
wow.
away.
Oh my
To
God.
know that is something to celebrate in somebody, because that's
Mm-hmm.
taking your power. So the
Right.
thing about it is, that as we come up on this hour, because this has
Right.
been a great conversation, but
Yes.
again, there's more. Think
Yeah.
higher.
Mm-hmm.
Take your power back, because you can.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that. Make your choices because somebody else can't. Live because somebody else can't. Understand that other people sacrifice for you to be where you are. So that should make you want to become better. And know that God, in his infinite wisdom, gave us a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and told you there's abundance out here. I know the plans that I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Jeremiah 29:11. If it's plans to prosper, then mediocrity is not prospering. Staying stuck in the same place is not prospering. Just existing is not prospering.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere can you compare those two. When you
Yeah.
look at prosperity, it's always in abundance, it's always in
Yes.
the overflow, it's
Mm-hmm.
always, in a land, what they say, of milk and honey, where everything kind of
Uh-huh.
is at your hands, and you're living that life. When Prince had party like it's 1999, that means
Uh-huh.
that you have no inhibitions. You're living your life. There's nothing holding you back. You're living it to the full, because
Mm-hmm.
when the time comes that you can't, then you got to be able to pass it on to somebody else, that, as this lady told you,
Right.
go and do what you need to do, because I
Mm-hmm.
need you to live, because I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
I need you to be able to go out and do what I'm no longer going to be able to do, because I
Yeah.
see something in you. I see your spirit, and I know it's meant for more.
Mm-hmm.
Keisha, in these last minute or so, what is the thing that you would like to share with everybody? And then please let them know how they can get in contact with you.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see, social media, Facebook is Think Higher Studios. I'm on YouTube as well, Think Higher Studios, as well as my web address is Kema Enterprise. So that's www.keemaenterprises.com. That's my website. You could reach me on any of those platforms. And I would want to say, I always tell people, whatever you do in life, whatever you choose to do with your life, make sure you don't wait. Make sure you don't wait to the right moment, because baby, there's really no right moment to launch out or to step out on faith. Sometimes we try to wait till all of our ducks is in a row, as we say, or we wait till the supporters arrive. Honey, ain't nobody coming to save you.
They are not.
Hey, I mean, if
Somebody
we could,
told you wrong. They are not.
right? Ain't they not? And I don't mean to say ain't, but ain't nobody.
Ain't,
ain't,
look, don't say it 2 times. Ain't.
ain't
No
nobody coming to
comment.
save you. And so once you realize that you on that boat by yourself, and God is the anchor of that boat. Once you able to see that and hold on to that, you're able to take it step by step, day by day, and until you really see yourself where you want to be. And it's okay to want more. It is okay to say, you know what? Yeah, I like this house, but honey, my mansion is over there. I like this car I'm driving. I like the Honda, but I want a BMW. Like, it's okay. And everybody thinks having materialistic or that's just being materialistic. No, that's having what I want, having what I deserve.
Period. Period.
And it's okay to have nice things, but just don't forget where you got those things from because it's God who blesses us. And we can't do nothing in our own strength. That's another thing. We have to give credit where credit is due. Sometimes we take God's glory for ourselves and we give ourselves the credit knowing good and well we ain't did nothing.
Oh God.
It's all him. He gives you that vision. He gives you the steps. The steps are ordered by him, not by you. You thinking you doing it. No, baby. It's by him. He gives you that vision. If he gave you that vision, he's going to give you that provision to get it to where it needs to be. He's going to send the right people. He's going to align your steps with his purpose, his vision, so that he can get the glory. So if everybody seemed like everybody left, he's still there. You hold on to that because that's where your power comes from. That's where your power source is. You hold on to God. When everything else falls by the wayside, baby, you hold on to that because if you got him, you got everything.
Come on, the good Reverend Dr. Keisha Brown and said it, baby. That's it. Hey, and I approve that message. Baby, did she not drop it? Listen, go to Akema Enterprises, Keema Enterprises.com. Make sure you tap into what Keisha has. Follow her Think Higher Studios. Catch her books that she's put out there. Make sure this is somebody, again, when we talk about We Shine Media Spotlight, we're shining a light on people who are out here that you may not know of, you may not have heard of, but you need to know about. And what she said today, from every aspect, as I say, from the rooter to the tutor, has been some gems that have been dropped. Don't miss it. Matter of fact, honey, be about your business and listen to it twice. Because sometimes, the first time, you just like, amen, amen, amen. Second
Right.
time, I need you to listen so it gets into your spirit. Because it's a message in here somewhere that God has specifically for you. Don't you miss it by just thinking, oh, it's just another little, podcast or whatever I'm listening to. It's designed for you to hear from people that you may not ordinarily hear from. You may not have had them on your radar, but you need to. That's the spotlight. You know what they say, put a light on it. Yeah, well, the light is on. Okay, so yes, put a light on it, right? It's on Keisha Brown. Make sure you follow her because I'm telling y'all what you see now, just how we didn't know about Shonda Rhimes until you start hearing about Shonda Rhimes.
Come on, you better
Keisha
say
Brown will
so.
be the same way. You're gonna understand, and you can be like, "Girl, I remember hearing about her on Total Entertainment Radio. I remember hearing about her on the We Shine Media Spotlight." Yes, yes. Understand that when they say, "Do y'all remember the first time you heard about her?" And do, and do. So, Keisha, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your transparency, for
Thank
your
you.
wisdom and knowledge, for the gems that you've dropped, because there's somebody out there that is going to go get tested right now because you did. There's somebody out there who's going to think higher because you put that seed into their spirit. So thank you for being here, for being who you are. And I wish you nothing but the best because I know that that's what God has in store for you. So thank you again, y'all. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here on the We Shine Media Spotlight. Stay tuned next week. Listen, Mondays at 7 is the place to be so that you can get tapped in and tuned in to some of the most up and coming powerhouses that they are. All right, y'all take care and be blessed. Talk to you next time.
Bye.